victory tour for Seattle's Chip Hanauer. Piloting the Miss Budweiser after a year away from boat racing, the five-time national champion has captured 4 victories in 4 starts this season. And today he's attempting to win in the Tri-Cities for the 5th time in his career. The Winston Eagle crew has spent the last month retooling the U-10, and last year's drivers' champion Mark Tate is poised to defend his title here as the Thunderboats go deck to deck for the and also the Winston Eagle and the Miss Tide and all of those fast boats, and it was the Bud getting off to a bit of a poor start.
Yeah, Chip admittedly after the heat said he didn't get a good start on this one, but boy, the acceleration of the Budweiser just shows perfectly in this heat.
It was almost a replay exactly of the dash for cash yesterday, the way he overtook the Winston after the Winston got out really quickly, and the Winston would lose some power as the race would go along and fade back in a hurry.
Well, the Winston, the defending champion, just admittedly had some acceleration problems throughout the week, tried all kinds of different combinations, but just couldn't find that magical one.
So it would be the Budweiser rolling to an easy victory, and afterwards Chip Hanauer said things were pretty status quo except for a boat that happened to leak out into their lane, and we'll get some reaction from Chip coming up as we show you him running away with Heat 1A.
Chip Hanauer, who was in lane 2, followed very closely by the inside still the Tide with George, and on the outside is the Winston. There goes the Budweiser, lap number 1, a speed of 148. Momentarily, they're in the west turn, the upper apex. Here they come, the Budweiser swinging around Chip Hanauer, and on the inside, the Tide got a good inside one there, and the Budweiser comes across the start and finish line with a flag at 139. Here comes the Tide at 141 in second.
Okay, Chip, it looked a lot like the dash yesterday. Winston got out quick on you, and then you got him in the first turn.
Yeah, I've not done a very good job at the starts here lately, so hopefully I can get that turned around.
Boat's really responding well.
Boat's doing good, no problem.
Between the American Spirit and the Miss Rock.
The American Spirit had to try a bunch of different combinations throughout the day, and as you can see, he gets out to a pretty good start, but just turned out he didn't have the horses.
Well, Nate Brown, that KISW boat ran real well pretty much all week and seemed to improve as the week went along. And Mark Evans with the American Spirit, boy, what a character. And he really, they put on a good show in these 2B and 1B races on the quote, slow boat heats.
Yeah, they really did, and he really got faster as the day went along, and you're right, Mark Evans, one of those kind of guys that just really has a lot of fun driving, but he just doesn't have the money to be able to stand on it every time out.
Well, these slow boat heats, it's kind of a misnomer because a lot of these turbines that are running 135 to 140 get put in that heats and the slower boat heats, and boy, Nate Brown really proved his worth today.
Brand new boat. The KSW crew once again did an excellent job getting the thing in the water. The boat ran really well in the heat. You know, we had a few adjustments before that heat, and we went in the right direction, so we're kind of lucky, but I got a hand.
Right, let's take you now to the Heat 2A here on the Columbia River early this afternoon before a nice, warm Columbia River crowd. Hot day today, and again, hot racing into turn number 1 that Chip Hanauer said after the race has become the roughest turn that they race all season long.
Well, and one notable absence also in Heat 2A was the T+. Expected to run very well. It qualified at about 154 this weekend, but they blew a gearbox in the first race, so they were gone, and that left a little skinnier field.
Well, it did, and as the Budweiser likes to say, nothing beats a Bud, and today nothing did beat the Bud. And Chip Hanauer had a good race today, although the back problem did surface.
That's right, it did, and but afterwards, Bernie pretty happy with the way things were going.
That's Budweiser.
Not pushing out the Winston a little bit, is he, out to the outside?
Well, that's his race course. He's so far ahead of him that he can do anything he wants to do, and he wants to be sure to give Tive enough room. We don't want to give anybody any reason to think that he's not staying where he belongs, but when you're that far ahead, it's your race course.
Chip is making you go a lot farther than he's making George go. Obviously, George on the inside, but he's pushing out on you a little.
Oh, absolutely. Chip's running a real wide race course out there, and then in return, I can't get to the inside of the race course, and I tried that one heat there, but then Chip tightened up, and George came out, and I still had nowhere to go, so I had to move back outside. But yeah, he's making a long way for the Winston Eagle go around the race course right now.
Think they're ganging up on you there?
Well, yeah, that's all part of racing. If you ain't got the horsepower, you're stuck in a position where you can't do much with, and all they can do is just go out there and drive the shit out of the boat and hope for the best.
Competitive race as far as deck-to-deck racing between the first and second place boat that we had all day. Great sight to see going into turn number 1 in Heat 2B between the American Spirit and the Miss Rock with Nate Brown at the helm.
And 2B could stand for 2 boats because you see the Oberto getting out to start, but it would die. A lot of trouble with the piston engines today.
Well, this has turned into a turbine sport, as we all know, Dan. You just don't hear the noise of these engines anymore. They're all going turbines the way to go, and it's one thing. It's generated a lot of people wondering if that's the future of the sport, given the availability of these engines. But whether they like it or not, turbines are here to stay, and they're dominating.
You can see Nate Brown obviously running very well, pulling away from the American Spirit. The American Spirit running without a cowling, just an attempt to get some more horsepower.
Well, Mark Evans, yeah, he's doing anything he can to get into it, and afterwards he said he liked racing deck to deck.
Yeah, Mark, you couldn't quite catch him, but some good racing there.
Yeah, it is, man. Oh, Nate Brown, the rock boat's really hauling. That's a whole different situation for the rock group. I'm happy for him. We're playing with our stuff a little bit still and just plugging away. Tried a new situation without the cowling. Almost cost us, you know, because getting up on planes, tricky deal to do. So we just
went for it, but he had some problems, as you'll see, and then the back problem started taking its toll on Chip Hanauer.
Well, as they went into Heat 3, again, this water was pretty choppy, as you can see. The Budweiser doing a little dancing as it came out of turn number 4, but Chip Hanauer experienced a lot of pain. He aggravated a back injury, and if you can see, as he gets out of the boat, he looks a little bit woozy. He injured the back yesterday, actually, in the dash for cash, and that really bugged him. He got a lot of treatment in between heats today.
It's actually a lingering injury. He said he did it in Miami originally in the dash for cash yesterday. Just the rough water banged it around, and that hurt him. And Mark Tate tried to make a move on the first turn, tried to dip inside the Bud, got washed down, and that ended his heat.
And here's Steve Woomer to talk about what happened.
What happened out there?
Well, he was going for it, and you know, he had to get inside Budweiser because they were leading us on a tour of the shoreline. So, and the boat was running, you know, better than it had been running. So he tried to cross over the inside, and then, and of course, Chip tightened it up. But then coming out of that corner there, he blew an engine. So
you guys have tried a bunch of different. A one-boat race. The American Spirit getting out quickly and running very hard. Mark Evans finding the right combination for his boat. Nate Brown on the inside lane, and then his heat would end in a hurry.
Well, yeah, Nate Brown actually right at the start went dead, and it was pretty much a parade for Mark Evans. As he said afterwards, he was able to wave to his fans on the shore, and there, as you can see, the Miss Rock going dead in the water, and that was really critical for them, because had they won that heat, the Miss Rock, they would have been in the final.
He was really cruising, and he was on his way to being in the final, obviously, and Russ pretty good speeds, mid-140s, but he would have to go into the last chance heat against the T+, and so it would be Mark Evans with an easy victory. He would wind it down to, about 120 miles an hour and coast in from there.
Well, they did, and of course, the key is to get into the final and inside that lane 1, and not a lot of drivers like to pick that, but George Woods ran there all day, and he didn't mind that, and he chose lane 1 to be on the inside of Chip Hanauer for the final.
Chip Hanauer has the fastest qualifier, and obviously the winner in the first 3 heats had his choice of lanes. He took lane 2. He thought the water was a little better. George Woods took lane 1, and it would be the Winston and the Tide, the two brightest boats all day, and they would go deck to deck, and the lead would change hands 6 or 7 times in the final as they had to put on a great show.
And that is, you've got Mark Tate, the defending champ, and we all know that he likes to really push it, as does George Woods, and they really did some good dueling. And of course, the key for Chip Hanauer was to just keep it going. They had to do about 3 or 4 parade laps before they finally got the flag to get started, and that obviously took a toll on Chip's back, but it also made the water a bit more rougher going into turn 1.
I'll tell you, the Bud crew hasn't had much luck on the Columbia in past years, but Bernie Little was extremely happy today.
Well, Bernie Little loves to kiss the Columbia River, as he will say it.
How was that?
A little better luck on the Columbia for you?
Wow. Oh, I kissed the river this morning. Man, I'm glad I did. A tough kid, I'll tell you. He's a tough kid.
Boat just ran great all day.
Yeah, it really has. Well, a crew makes a good driver, and a good driver makes a good crew.
During the day that you didn't know if you could maybe get back in the boat, or was?
Oh no, you know, it's funny. Sports has a way of somehow you feel the pain, but you're somewhat detached from it while you're doing it. It's kind of a neat feeling. You're kind of numb. You're aware of it, but it doesn't affect you until you get back up, and then you're quiet and you relax, and then you feel it.
You've enjoyed some good success on this river, any more so than today, as far as a perfect weekend?
No, I can't remember having a weekend like this where we were fast qualifiers, set records, won a money event on Saturday, and then swept all the events. And 5 in a row. I never dreamed that would ever be possible.
Here with George Woods Jr. and the Tide, finished 2nd this year in the Columbia Cup. Heck of a race.
Oh, I'll tell you, you know, the Tide ran very, very well all weekend long, and you know, we'd done well in the preliminary heats, and we tangled there with Mark there for all the laps. I'll tell you what, I drove the boat for everything it was worth, and lane 1 was a little quicker way around the course, but I'll tell you, it was rough in there, and the Tide crew, they made it all happen.
So another victory for the Budweiser, and it would be Chip Hanauer's 5th in 5 starts this year, and his 5th on the Columbia River.
Yeah, Chip Hanauer, oddly enough, has won the Atlas, the Squire Shop, the Miller American, and now the Miss Budweiser, and he now got an even 5 wins here on the Columbia River, and of course he's 5 for 5 on the unlimited hydroplane racing circuit for the year.
And I think we saw a couple of things here. Obviously, we saw more of the turnover from the piston-powered engines to the turbines, dominated by the turbines this week. We